My name is Jim Russell. I'm 54 years old. I've lived in Connecticut most of my life. 24 years ago, my wife Hannah and I were married right here at this fellowship. I can still remember Reverend Frank Hall's words to me, "Do you, Jim, take this woman in sickness and in health, for better or for worse?" And I said, "I do." 4 years later, Hannah was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. Within 2 years, she was in a wheelchair. She could not stand, bathe, feed, or dress herself. And I was to become her caregiver for the next 17 years. I realized early on that no insurance company would ever cover her medical costs because it was now a pre-existing condition. So I took a bold move. I quit my job and started my own business and joined the ranks of the self-employed. At one point, I was paying over $13,000 a year for medical insurance before Medicare kicked in for her. Even after Medicare took over her medical expenses, I still paid $25,000 a year for additional expenses and caregivers. And you can do the math on that. The stress of caregiving took its toll on me. In 1990, I was diagnosed with cancer of the tongue, and I had 20% of my tongue removed by surgery. It did not require chemotherapy or radiation, and I'm pleased to say the cancer has never returned. But I was now facing a very harsh reality. First, I had to learn how to speak again. How am I doing so far? Secondly, I now had a pre-existing condition. I haven't had health insurance for the last 8 years until just recently. When the doctor asked me for my insurance card, I whip out my American Express card, and do you know what? It is accepted everywhere. But every day I get up in the morning and I realize that I'm taking a tremendous gamble. I love to volunteer and give back to the community. For 19 years, I volunteered at the Dorothy Day Soup Kitchen in Danbury, where I help feed the homeless and the poor. I realize that if I lose one client and I cannot afford to pay for my expensive health care insurance, and I have to drop that insurance, and I'm struck with another illness, a serious illness, I can lose my house, my retirement, and all my savings. I could very easily end up on the other end of the soup kitchen line. What I need is health care insurance which is affordable, regardless of pre-existing conditions, regardless of whether one is self-employed or not. And as for my lovely wife, Hannah, she passed away 3 years ago this Tuesday. I held her in my arms as she was dying, and her last words to me were, "I love you." Those 3 little words were more than ample payment for all the years of hardship that we went through. To be able to care for another human being, to relieve human suffering, to me, is the ultimate calling. If I had to stand here and say, I do again, I would. I'd like to thank you very much for listening to my story and giving your strength and courage in spreading the message that a message of hope that affordable health care insurance will someday take place here in Connecticut. Thank you.